The Quest 3's Passthrough might just be its most divisive feature. Internet forums are split. Many users are claiming they can read the numbers on their chip bag's barcodes or their phone's screen from an arm's length away. Others are disappointed with the circa 2007 selfie camera. And nearly everyone in the middle is screaming, "Lower your expectations, bro," or "Get better lighting, bro." Well, I just so happen to have a headset, expectations, and over $1,000 in studio lighting. So I thought I'd share my real-world experience, starting with my expectations. My Passthrough expectations were set by both the Quest 3's tech specs and VR review channels. With the Quest 3's dual 4-megapixel cameras promising a 2.5K resolution each, the math seems to add up to a quality viewing experience even after accounting for some upscaling and stitching. More impactful though was Meta's slick marketing campaigns and the glowing early reviews from VR review channels. They showcased a vision of mixed reality that was crisp, clear, and incredibly immersive. And on top of that, reviewers boasted about its sharpness and clarity. There was finally a device that promised we could see desk peripherals while working with virtual screens. My body was ready to be floating in space, off in a random asteroid belt, working on a triple monitor setup while lounging on my couch or in bed. And here you can see the pass-through footage directly from my unit. It looks amazing, right? I think it does, but unfortunately that's not a clear depiction of my reality. The pass-through quality that I experienced was terrible, and I was struck with it almost immediately after putting the headset on. During the initial setup, when prompted to switch to my phone, the screen was barely legible. I could partially make out the large clock on the always-on display, but that was about it. My entire view was low-res, blurry, and fuzzy, and the phone itself was also a pixelated, fuzzy, washed-out mess. I had to take off the headset to use my phone's keyboard to install the MetaQuest app and finish setup. It was so bad that I wondered if I'd missed the protective film over the cameras. When I realized that I hadn't, the debate shifted from whether the camera quality was bad to whether it was usable at all. With Passthrough activated, I could see objects around me, walls, furniture, my desk and desk gadgets, but every detail was plagued by a high contrast, low resolution haze. It felt like there were millions of little bugs running around behind the lenses at all times. Nearly all text was unreadable unless it was large or brought absurdly close to the lenses. My primary purchase incentive was the use of virtual offices. Here you can carve out a pass-through area on your desktop so that your real-life peripherals can be seen through a VR window. Conceptually, it's a brilliant feature. However, the already mediocre camera quality deteriorates even further in this mode, presumably because of the resource load required for the headset to render your virtual environment, screens, and pass-through cameras all at once. The VR world and virtual screens look great, but everything in Passthrough is blurry. Edges become jagged and wavy, and I can't even see the keys on my keyboard. I was stoked to finally be able to work with my triple screen setup from anywhere in my house. And technically, I can do that just fine, just not with great visual fidelity of my surroundings. In both virtual workspace and mixed reality experiences, Passthrough feels reduced to a grounding feature, a blurry reminder of where you are so you don't collide with the tangible world and knock drinks over on your desk. After extensive use, playing with lighting and settings and recalibrating my expectations, I've concluded that it's passable. It's functional enough for the few use cases that exist, but it definitely didn't live up to the hype. The VR community is split on pass-through quality. Some say it's amazing and others say it's awful. And there's a lot of opinions and theories being thrown around. So why are so many users having different experiences? One prominent theory is that the pass-through quality was overhyped and newcomers had too high of expectations. You see, what many seasoned reviewers and the meta marketing promos failed to highlight is the stark contrast between raw camera output recorded from the device and what one actually experiences inside the headset. While recorded videos from the device depict crisp image quality from a single camera, there isn't an accurate way to demonstrate the quality seen through the lenses by a human. Even video recorded from a phone through the lens has its picture enhanced by software and can't give an accurate representation. The in-headset experience feels as if the image undergoes multiple layers of heavy processing, interpolation, compression, stitching, whatever magic makes tracking and depth work, and is then stretched and mapped to your viewport. This puts the quality into perspective once you put your critical thinking cap on and realize that all of this magic is happening in real time. The VR community, specifically the Quest 2 and Pro users, had a frame of reference, and their collective enthusiasm for the 4 to 10x improvement over the previous iterations may have skewed expectations for newcomers. Another suspicion circling the VR grapevine is that of quality control. Many users are suggesting there may be inconsistencies in the manufacturing of parts, as such inconsistencies have reportedly occurred with prior Quest models. It seems like a possibility, but I've yet to encounter a user who exchanged their unit and noticed a difference in quality. So if you have that experience, please share it with us in the comments below. On top of those theories, though, are layers of individual variables at play. Things like lighting conditions, individual eye structures, headset fit, and even one's subjective perception of quality, which makes it extremely difficult for anyone to decipher whether they have a defunct headset. I've seen many questioning if their level of quality is considered normal. After having immersed myself in pass-through exploration for weeks, so much so that I haven't actually even touched VR games yet, and researching and reading everyone's opinions, I believe that it's a mix of an overhyped product feature coupled with individual set and setting. Get better lighting, bro, is the meme-worthy advice most frequently thrown at those questioning their pass-through quality. It makes sense, right? Cameras have sensors that need light to produce an image, and more light can produce a better image. But how much of a difference does it actually make? Shining light directly onto objects, especially dark objects, definitely improves their level of detail. Turning on a monitor light bar to illuminate my black keyboard from above makes the keys readable, and directing a studio light at my desk increases the level of detail of objects I can see on it, to a degree, and only from the angle from which the light shines. The obvious issue here is that we can't go around spotlighting every object in our homes, and even if we strapped a flashlight to our heads, there are other factors to consider. The headset's cameras, for instance, automatically tweak exposure and seemingly white balance based on your surroundings, which means bright light sources or white objects tend to blow out and lose all detail, which in turn makes dark objects or shadows turn fuzzy. Devices that self-illuminate, like smartphone screens, can also cause blowout issues. With my phone set to its usual brightness, I struggle to read even large fonts as everything blurred together. But when I dimmed it to around 25%, many fonts, including keyboard characters, became much clearer. For reference, my phone has to be within 2 to 10 inches of the camera in normal lighting conditions to read average size text. I still can't read most finer print like notification subtext or captions like Spotify playlist descriptions, but I can sometimes see the shapes of words well enough to guess what they are based on context. It's much better now than my initial setup experience, as I can actually check notifications and navigate the Meta Quest app without removing the headset. Ambient room lighting is a mixed bag. Whether it's nighttime with my warm overhead lights on or broad daylight with windows and doors wide open, it often feels like the same grainy, low-quality picture, with the nighttime scenario feeling a bit more moody and contrasted. With $1,000 in studio lighting in this small 10x10 room, the level of quality is slightly improved over my standard lit living room. There is increased detail on some open room objects, most notably the walls and shadows became much brighter, which makes the fuzzies brighter and thus harder to see moving against the bright background. At the same time, bright objects became washed out to a degree where they lose most of their details or shadows. So you're effectively trading one low quality experience for another low quality experience. The key, I've deduced, is achieving perfectly balanced diffused lighting, but that's way easier said than done unless you've built an expensive studio specifically for that use case or you head outside on a sunny day. Note, there are many warnings against using the headset in the sun as you risk damaging it, so don't do that. I tested outdoors and the river of noise is reduced to a much calmer moving screen door effect, which makes the experience on average more enjoyable, even though it's still low res. I also experienced much more warping outdoors than I did inside my home. Meta suggests best results in a room with a light level of at least 50 lux and to be able to comfortably read a book with the headset off to have an enjoyable mixed reality experience. I think in any decently lit home, you're probably having the most optimal experience you can, but if you're playing or working in the same area regularly, it's worth throwing in some additional light sources to see if your quality improves. Brighter is better, but has extreme diminishing returns and trade-offs. Tweaking the headset position on my face also helped me get to a place where I could read a book with the headset on at just over half an arm's length away. There was an obvious sweet spot higher on my face and tilted upwards that I couldn't get comfortably without wrestling with the straps for half an hour and really cranking them down on my head to a point the headset is uncomfortable. But I would say it increased my visual acuity for reading text by like 15%. 15%. Overall, I think the pass-through quality is generally bad, but at the same time it's usable for the basic use cases that exist. If you're wanting this device specifically for pass-through or mixed reality experiences like I did, I'd suggest going back into cryosleep for another 40 years or so. Fingers crossed that future software or firmware updates can improve the pass-through quality. The rest of the Quest 3 has been a wonderful experience. I'll be releasing a full review video once my exchange is completed, so subscribe to get notified when that drops.